Welcome back to another exciting and transformative wealth lesson presented by D.R.S. Hakim. Every lesson is another step toward transforming the way you think, feel, decide, and act. Your journey to behavioral mastery and lasting wealth continues now. Now let's turn our attention to a few questions submitted by our viewers from around the world. Our first question is from Michael Reynolds in Dallas, Texas. Michael writes, D.R.S. Hakim, I own a small business, and I know I should be setting aside money for growth and future investments. However, I keep finding reasons to spend the profits on things that aren't really necessary. How can I develop the financial habits and discipline needed to build long-term wealth, instead of living from one sale to the next?
Next, Sophia Martinez from Miami, Florida asks, D.R.S. Hakim, you explained that small habits eventually shape our financial future. As someone who wants to become financially independent, what are the first daily business and money habits you believe every entrepreneur or investor should begin practicing immediately?
Lastly, we have a question from our YouTube community, from @Bagby. They ask, what if it's very close family members that continually keep the negative words, thoughts, and reminders ever present in your life despite your working on change?
Stay tuned to hear the answers from D.R.S. Hakim at the end of today's lesson.
Thank you, Sarah, for your gracious introduction and for selecting the questions I will answer in this lesson. In our previous lesson, we explored one of the most important principles of personal transformation. Behavior begins long before action. Every decision we make is influenced by our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and internal programming. Today, I want to take that discussion one step further, because understanding behavior alone is not enough. We must also understand how behavior becomes permanent. The answer is found in our habits. Whether you realize it or not, much of your day is governed by habit rather than conscious decision-making. From the moment you wake up until you go to sleep, many of your actions occur almost automatically. You brush your teeth without thinking about it, drive familiar routes with little conscious effort, and often respond to challenges in predictable ways because your brain has learned those patterns through repetition. The same principle applies to financial behavior. People rarely become wealthy due to one brilliant investment or one successful business decision. Likewise, people rarely experience financial hardship due to a single poor choice. Wealth and poverty are usually the result of countless small decisions repeated consistently over many years. A habit may seem insignificant today, but habits never remain small. Like seeds planted in fertile soil, they continue growing until they eventually produce a harvest. Productive habits generate prosperity, confidence, and opportunity, while destructive habits produce frustration, inconsistency, and regret. One of the greatest mistakes people make is underestimating the power of small daily behaviors. They believe that missing one day of saving money, delaying one important task, or making one unnecessary purchase will not matter. By themselves, these actions may appear harmless. However, repeated over months and years, they shape the direction of an individual's life. For this reason, I often remind my students that success is rarely dramatic. It is usually quiet. It is built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, and one disciplined day at a time. Every habit begins as a single decision. The first time you postpone an important task, you have not yet developed the habit of procrastination. The first time you save part of your income, you have not yet developed the habit of financial discipline. However, every repeated decision strengthens a neurological pathway until that behavior becomes increasingly automatic. Modern neuroscience explains this process through neuroplasticity. Every repeated action strengthens communication between specific neurons in the brain. As these neural pathways become stronger, the behavior requires less conscious effort. In simple terms, your brain becomes efficient at doing whatever you repeatedly practice. This is wonderful news if you are practicing discipline, honesty, gratitude, and perseverance. It becomes dangerous if you repeatedly practice dishonesty, excuses, laziness, fear, manipulation, or impulsiveness. Your brain does not distinguish between productive habits and destructive habits. It simply strengthens whatever you consistently repeat. This is why habits are so powerful. They eventually begin making decisions for you. Before we conclude today's wealth lesson, I want you to remember that your future is not determined by occasional moments of motivation, but by the habits you choose to practice every single day. Every productive habit begins with one intentional decision, and every decision either strengthens a negative acidic toxin or cultivates a positive, essential nutrient. As you continue retraining your brain and heart, strive to ensure that your daily habits reflect the person you aspire to become. Remember that lasting transformation occurs through triadic alignment. When your cranial brain is filled with truth and wisdom, your heart is committed to purpose and excellence, and your gut consistently reinforces productive behaviors through disciplined action. Success gradually becomes your natural way of living. As gnats are eliminated and pens are adopted, the internal friction that once held you back is replaced with harmony, consistency, and forward momentum. This is where genuine behavioral transformation begins, and where lasting wealth, fulfillment, and personal excellence are cultivated. Now, one of my favorite parts of these wealth lessons is hearing from our viewers around the world. Many of you have sent thoughtful questions about behavior, attitude, and personal transformation. Today, I would like to answer 3 of those questions. Perhaps one of them reflects a challenge you have been facing as well. Thank you, Sarah, for selecting these questions. And Michael, thank you for an excellent question. It touches on a fundamental challenge many entrepreneurs face. The problem is rarely income, it is behavior. If increasing income automatically created wealth, then every high-income earner would become wealthy. We know that is simply not true. Wealth is created when disciplined behavior governs financial decisions. What you're describing is a habit, and every habit is fueled by either a gnat or negative acidic toxin, or a pen or positive essential nutrient. The unnecessary spending is not your real problem. It is merely the symptom. Somewhere beneath that behavior is a gnat such as impulsiveness, a desire for immediate gratification, or perhaps the belief that every dollar earned should immediately be enjoyed. Until you identify and eliminate that gnat, the spending habit will continue. Instead, begin cultivating the pens of discipline, delayed gratification, focused management, and financial responsibility. Before spending any profit, make it a habit to invest in your business, strengthen your savings, and prepare for future opportunities. Eventually, these repeated behaviors will become automatic. Remember, businesses are not built by the occasional great decision. They are built by thousands of disciplined decisions repeated consistently over many years. When your cranial brain understands the value of long-term investing, your heart brain embraces delayed gratification, and your gut brain repeatedly practices disciplined financial behavior, triadic alignment begins working in your favor. At that point, wise financial decisions become part of who you are, rather than something you struggle to do. Sophia, I appreciate your question, as many people spend years searching for one secret that will make them wealthy. In reality, lasting wealth is usually built through ordinary habits practiced with extraordinary consistency. I would begin with 5 daily habits. First, spend less than you earn and make saving and investing your first financial priority, not your last. Second, continue learning every day. Read Retrain Your Brain and Heart for Financial Success and other my transformative manuscripts. Study successful businesses, improve your financial knowledge, and never stop developing your skills. Third, review your finances daily. Know where your money is going, because what is measured is far more likely to improve. Fourth, create value every single day. Wealth flows toward those who consistently solve problems and improve the lives of others. Finally, protect your brain and heart. Guard your thoughts from gnats such as fear, excuses, procrastination, envy, and self-doubt, while intentionally cultivating pens like discipline, gratitude, responsibility, perseverance, and excellence. These habits may seem small, but over months and years, they reshape your character. As your 3 intellectual command centers continually acquire wisdom, your cranial brain becomes more astute, your heart brain becomes emotionally committed to excellence, and your gut brain repeatedly reinforces productive behaviors. Triadic alignment transforms those habits into your new and improved identity. That is how financial independence is truly built. Lastly, thank you at Bagby for sharing such an honest and important question. Many people quietly face this same struggle. First, remember that we cannot always choose the people around us, but we can choose the influence we allow them to have over our brains and hearts. Other people's negative words and opinions will affect us only if we accept, believe, and internalize them to be true. Very often, those negative words become gnats. If they are repeated long enough, they can produce fear, discouragement, self-doubt, resentment, or hopelessness. Left unchecked, those gnats eventually shape behavior, decisions, and even the direction of a person's life. This is why it is essential to intentionally retrain your brain and heart. Replace every destructive message with truth, purpose, gratitude, and confidence. Fill your brain and heart with uplifting books, beneficial knowledge, positive mentors, and environments that strengthen your character rather than weaken it. At the same time, continue treating your family with kindness, patience, and respect. You do not have to become negative simply because others choose to be. Sometimes the greatest strength is quietly maintaining your principles without letting someone else's negativity define you. Most importantly, practice triadic alignment. Let your cranial brain remain anchored in truth, your heart brain remain committed to your purpose, and your gut brain continue reinforcing productive behaviors every day. When these three intelligence centers work together, the opinions of others gradually lose their power over your decisions. Never allow another person's limitations to define your potential. Continue eliminating gnats, continue adopting pens, maintain high standards, and remain committed to becoming the person reflecting fulfillment and purpose. In time, your consistent behavior will speak more loudly than any negative words ever could. Thank you for joining me. My sincere hope is that you will apply the principles we have discussed in this lesson and continue to benefit from these wealth lessons as you pursue lasting personal and financial success. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who is committed to transforming their behavior, attitude, and financial future. If you have a question you would like me to answer in a future wealth lesson, leave it in the comments below or send it to our email address listed in the description below, and your question may be featured in an upcoming episode. Until next time, live long, maintain high standards, perform the best deeds, and continue to prosper.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. There is much more to discover. We look forward to seeing you in our next exciting lesson.